What's up, tribe? Thank you for being here and welcome to my channel. Today's post is titled Identify, and as this is a dialogue between Matias and his higher self, I'd be referring to Matias as me and his higher self as I am. Me. When we talk about denying, a question that arises is, how do I know what I'm denying? Because precisely if I deny it, it is because I'm not seeing it, or I do not recognize it, which makes it difficult for me to see clearly. This is why the universe has the natural system of mirrors. Do you remember what you studied in biology about enantiomers? They are mirrored molecules with exactly the same position of the atoms that form it, but just the other way around, mirrored. One is called molecule L and the other molecule D. One is biologically active and useful, and the other is not. Quite the opposite. So it is important to differentiate one from the other, since one can harm you and the other can help you. It is almost like an organic trap. What you deny and what you affirm are usually the enantiomers of the soul. They are the same, but mirrored. And precisely because they are so equal to what you affirm is that you do not see them clearly. Because it is like a mirror, where you recognize yourself and say, it is me, when in reality, you are completely the other way around. Me. That is to say that to recognize what I deny, I only have to see what is directly opposite to me. And there I can see my reflection, which does not mean that it is my opposite, but complementary. Or worse, you see him. So much the same as you that you don't realize what you deny in your life. This usually happens with most relationships. Many couples are exactly the opposite of each other, but just being so different makes it look like a mirror, which gives the feeling that it's the same. Thus, many couples live a toxic or sick life, almost parasitic, considering being with an equal, when in reality, they are only with their opposite. Denial. Me. It happened to me. I know. Me. So what you have to learn to do more than anything is to identify correctly. That's where we had to go. Identify. This verb comes from the Latin idem, which means equal, the same, and the suffix ficar, fi in English, which refers to do or put. That is, do the same. What it suggests is being able to find the similarities rather than the differences. We tend to put denials in the mental folder of differences or opposites, when in reality, what we deny are the enantiomers of our way of life. What we believe is useless for our lives, but that share 100% of the same content as is, shape our life. This is how the concept identity arises. That is, idem, the same, and entity, being. Identity refers to what I assimilate as my own being, when I recognize this similar and make it my own. Identity is related to the attributes of the personality. Me. So instead of looking for what I deny in the external things that I reject, I will find it in the things that I consider myself part of, and that I accept or recognize in myself. It is the opposite of what I would have thought. Because humans still believe that the universe is dual, thinking that two forces, that have never seen each other meet in the middle of nowhere, and they are called evil and good, God and the devil, positive and negative. Well, no. They are the same molecule, arising from the same essence and atoms, simply arranged in the form of a mirage. Me, like the knees, both are the same, and yet to move forward, one must use force and pressure backwards to support the weight of the body, while the other flexes and subtly lift to take a step into the future. I am, exactly. The leg that supports the weight behind is the one that will initially hurt. It will feel the weight of history, the pain of the past. It will become the idea of the rigid and structural, and perhaps my mind consider it an anchor in the density that pulls me into the shadows, while the other will be attributed to advancements, lightness, subtlety, ascent, and evolution, with the Libyan and divine. But one without the other makes us remain stable without movement. When your attention is focused on the leg that advances, consider the one that is left behind as the past, to be denied. Something that does not belong on your path to transformation and consciousness. But nevertheless, that which you are denying is what has given you the strength to be able to lift the other leg. Thus, what you consider opposite your impulse. Me, how could I understand it? Me, I am, for example, in history, there would have been no specific advancement and development of the arts and sciences without the repression of religion. The powerful force of the past concept of religion and spirituality allowed a revolution of frustrated minds that prompted the search for new forms and began the advance of the last 5 centuries, not to mention the last two. Science and free thought denied religion, and that was his advance. But precisely by denying him and not recognizing him as that pillar, he has turned science into a new faith and largely positions itself as a religion on the defensive of its irrefutable scientific arguments. In years of civilization, but in a family, the same happens. When you deny the attitudes of a mother or a father and refuse to be like them, by not seeing and recognizing them in time, you end up identifying with their ways of being. That is, you imitate them by reflex, and it becomes part of you, a part that you cannot see because you are rejecting. So, take a good look at what you reject in your life. Analyze it, and you will see in it the similarities in you. Me, my identity is made up of all the positive and negative mirrors in my life. So, to recognize many of the things that I can't see, I have to relive them. Could this be something like a family constellation? I am this artistic and theatrical role therapy, as well as psychomagic, is one of the ways in which, in a practical and conscious way, you can see and analyze exactly what you deny or cannot see. Putting yourself in the shoes of all the agents in your family will allow you to see the patterns in common. Always start with the close, with your earthly family, parents, uncles, grandparents, and identify what emotions and feelings are those that you relate to them. Me. Is it homework? I am, yes. Write down the question. What emotions do I identify from my family? And below, make a list for your mother, another for your father, and one for each close member of your family with whom you are directly related: uncles, grandparents, brothers. When you write down all the emotions that you recognize in them, see if there are emotions that you deny in yourself. Me, I made the lists and something caught my attention. There are some words that are repeated in almost everyone: resentment and prejudice. I do not feel both concepts in me. I always denied having them. Even my friends and close friends often tell me that I am the least resentful person they know because I forgive instantly. And it is because of this that I do not have prejudices, because I do not get defensive before a possible repetition of the same. However, when I saw that these words were repeated in all my relatives, I began to notice that it was something that I denied, and I realized that, in a certain way, this was in me, and that by denying it, all I did was turn a naive, someone who does not remember and does not correct his mistakes. Also, I could see that in order not to have a grudge, I preferred to forget or distance myself from people, since if I saw them again, I'd act like nothing happened. In other words, what in them was an impediment and defense in life that seemed absurd to me, in me had become an insecurity. It was the same emotion or feeling, only mirrored. I am. So now you understand that becoming aware of this, the reason you denied it in yourself is for fear of becoming them and repeating the same thing. And accepting it does not mean that you will become spiteful or prejudiced, but that you will know how to take the positive from these aspects. Be more careful in your life and be judicious. Me, I understand. I am. For this reason, identifying is recognizing your identity. Biologically, identity is anchored in the anus, since it is where the human sits or affirms in a place. Settle. Put your ass on the chair. Affirm yourself. Don't touch my ass. They broke my ass. Pardon the word. All are all expressions related to how important identity is to people and how fragile it is. For this reason, in matters of identity and recognition, humans position themselves in denial and defensive. What they say about you, what you don't see about yourself, is all in the reflections of what you do see about yourself or in others. Observe what you see in others and pay attention to what others see in you, so you will see your reflections. You will know that, even if you do not want it, the idea that others project on you has armed your current identity. Me. So what you just said leaves me thinking something. Normally, in the spiritual and consciousness paths, it is often said that no one can determine what we are, that we should focus on ourselves, not look outside and discover everything inside us. And you're telling me just the opposite. How would that be? I am enantiomers of consciousness. What spirituality does is basically the following example. You have a dirty house, the floor full of garbage and dust, but instead of seeing where the garbage is scattered, you make an altar to the broom and contemplate it and meditate in front of it, smiling, thinking the following. If I am a broom, there will be no garbage. Do you understand? Me. Yes, good example. In other words, it is good to know that the broom is what will allow me to clean the floor. But to clean it, I have to identify where the dust is. I am, and the dust, my friend, came from you and all those around you, because the dust is nothing more than dead skin cells, that is, from your genetics, yours, and those who are in your life. Therefore, analyze who you invite to your house, who lives with you, what they leave in you, on your floor, in your life, and you will see the mirror of what you accept in it. Whoever you let into your house is because you accept him, and he is the same one who brings the dust that one day you will have to clean. No one is separate. You cannot say that this is only your inner work, because the outer is part of you too. Before closing your eyes and looking at the dust that you hid under the carpets of your subconscious, you have to look at the dust around you scattered on the floor of your unconscious. The broom is the conscious one, but don't make it an altar. Me, got it. I am. Identify, evaluate your identity. Recognize the mirrors of your environment. Write down the emotional and sentimental roles of those closest and linked to you. And there, observe what you cannot see in yourself. Me, my identity is made up of what I identify with and its mirrors. I am, well, if everything is one, the polarities are not different from each other, but identical.